Hello, so our video is how to make a shrimp cocktail, and we're mainly going to focus on how to dice our vegetables. So for the first step, we're taking off all our jewelry to avoid any germs and bacteria spreading. Now we're washing our hands before handling any of our food. Make sure to dry your hands thoroughly. Now Jenny here is handling the shrimp, so she's taking off the tail and then rinsing it, and we have two separate bowls, one for the tail and one for the shrimp. Now we're washing our hands because we handled shrimp, and this avoids cross-contamination, which we don't want. Dry your hands thoroughly. Okay, so now we're going to cut up our veggies, so I'm soaking this cloth and drying out the excess water, and then we're going to place this on our counter, and then we're going to place our cutting board on top, and this avoids it from slipping. And now Jenny's throwing away the scraps, washing her hands because she just handled shrimp. Drying her hand once again. Okay, next we're gonna get our water to boil for our shrimp. So we're putting in some water into our pot, bringing it over to the stove and setting it to medium. Now we're gonna add about a tablespoon of salt and then a half tablespoon of black pepper and just stir that. Now we're setting a timer for 10 minutes so our water can get to a boil. Okay, now we're gonna cut up our veggies. So first I'm starting off with the cucumber, peeling off the plastic wrap. Okay, so here I'm showing how not to handle your knife. So you don't want your finger on the spine because it brings strain to your wrist, so instead you're going to tuck it in. Now we're cutting off the ends of our cucumber and putting those in our scrap bowl. And now we're going to cut that cucumber in half and cut that half into a half, and then those halves into halves again, and then we're going to cut those into little strips to make our cubes. Okay, now here I'm showing you guys not to stick your fingers out when cutting, but instead tucking them in to avoid cutting yourself. Okay, now moving on to the onions, we're cutting off the ends and putting those into our scrap bowl, and then cutting it in half and taking off all the unnecessary outer edges of the onion. Now Jenny here is going to make some slits. And now she's cutting it across to make our little cubes. Okay, now we're washing our tomatoes, which we do with all our veggies. Cutting off the ends of those tomatoes and putting the scraps in the scrap bowl. And then we cut those tomatoes in half. And then we're gonna grab a spoon and take out all the seeds because we don't want those in our cocktail. Very nice, very nice. Now onto our limes, we're cutting those in half as well, very simple. Okay, now our 10-minute timer is up, and this is when we're gonna place our shrimp into our boiling water. Now we're gonna set a timer for 2 minutes, that's how long it's gonna cook, just long enough for it to get pink. Wash your hands, we just handled shrimp. Our shrimp has finished cooking, so we're gonna take out our shrimp and drain it. Grab a clean bowl and place your shrimp in there. Okay, now for the Worcestershire sauce, we need 2 tablespoons of that, and then we're gonna put 2 tablespoons of Maggi sauce. And now we're also doing 2 tablespoons of ketchup. Okay, now we're squeezing our limes into our measuring cup because it makes it easier to pour. Now I'm taking my cutting board and I'm placing it above the sink because it doesn't fit in the sink, it's way too big. And now I'm handling my knives, bringing them to the sink upside down to avoid any accidents if I bump into someone. Rinsing that off, and then we're gonna place our knives above the sink because if we place them inside the dishwater, we can maybe forget and cut ourselves. Okay, now moving on to our ingredients. We're adding in our onions, our cucumber, and our tomato. And now we're gonna add our shrimp. Now our lime juice. Here I added some shrimp water that I saved, the Worcestershire sauce, Maggi sauce, the ketchup. Now we're adding tomato juice, clamato juice, about a third of that, and then some tapatio for some spice. And then you mix that all up, and yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.